Rockefeller International chairman Ruchir Sharma joins us now on the new piece, A Tale of Two Bull Markets. You look at the U.S. and India. And, we have seen some surprising strength, not just from India, Mexico, Japan. A lot of these overseas markets. Are the opportunities better outside the U.S., even with these kind of growth numbers we're seeing?
Well, in a way, India's already demonstrated that, because if you look at this decade, it's quite remarkable. The size of the Indian market is obviously dwarfed by the United States. The United States has a market cap of over $50 trillion. There's no market in the world which is anywhere close to that. India is about the fourth or fifth largest market with a market cap of just under $5 trillion. Yet, having said that, there are about 180 companies in India that have tripled in value or more this decade. That's more than what you've seen even in the United States. So there's a lot of breadth in terms of what's happening in India and the breadth of the bull market. In the US case, as you well know, it's been very concentrated with tech dominating, mega caps dominating. But in some of these other markets, you've seen a lot of breadth. And of course, you mentioned about Japan. That market's finally coming alive after having been dead for so long, and Mexico. And similarly in places like Eastern Europe, you have places like Poland, Greece, which have registered very strong returns. Of course, nothing beats the United States because of its size and the incredible performance of what America has been doing, and it's now nearly 50% of global market cap. But still, these opportunities abroad look quite interesting, and have already demonstrated in a couple of cases to be pretty good bets.
You write in your piece about AI. I mean, that's a big component of the market's rally here in the U.S. Do you get that elsewhere, or do you have to come to the U.S. market to get the kind of AI lift?
Yeah, so that's a really competitive advantage that the U.S. has. That's the main reason why the U.S. market still keeps outperforming so many other global peers. But that's the point I try and make, that it's very narrow, it's very concentrated. It's a lot about AI. And yes, the current zeitgeist is all about AI. So if that's what you want to play, the U.S. is still the place to be. There are a couple of other spots abroad, such as Taiwan, which have also done relatively well. But that's also on the back of tech and AI. But yes, if your vision or your thing in life is that this decade or the future is only about AI, then America continues to look exceptional.
There's got to be some warnings here about India, don't there, Ruchir? I mean, 85 billion options were purchased in 2023, 8 times the volume that we saw in the U.S., and people holding a contract for half an hour. I mean, that sounds a bit like a speculative bubble to me in some ways.
Yes, I think that's also going on in India. The Indian market is currently about the only market in the world which is more expensive than the United States. Its realized volatility is lower than the United States. So those are quite remarkable statistics, and even from the retail mania. But that's what happens in bull markets, which is that as they last for a while, you get signs of excesses. And India is susceptible to a sharp vol shock or even a correction. But I think the point about India is trying to make is that a lot of foreign investors have not participated in this rally. The entire rally in India has been driven by domestic investors. There's not been much foreign participation because global investors, including those in the US, are so caught up in what's happening here in the AI frenzy that they're sort of missed out on what's happening globally, including in India. So yes, there are pockets of excesses, which we also have in here in the US, but I think people just have given too much short shrift to international markets. And for good reason, you can argue, but I'm trying to point out that, listen, there's a lot happening internationally as well, and India is a poster child of that.